The Smithsonian Museum of Natural History owns millions of pieces, but only a small fraction are displayed. Have you ever wondered what might remain in the hidden Smithsonian secret warehouse? Because there have been countless reports of finds that would rewrite human history, from giant human bones to an Egyptian temple in the Grand Canyon. These reports have one thing in common. The Smithsonian shows up first, takes possession of the artifacts to further research, and then all records of the find disappear. Before we tell you who's funding the Smithsonian Institution, let's go back in time. It all started in the early 1900s when the Arizona Gazette's April 5, 1909 edition included an article that stood out from the mundane news of the time, titled "Mysteries of Immense Rich Cavern Being Brought to Light. Remarkable finds indicate ancient people migrated from Orient." The article talked about an intrepid explorer by the name of G.E. Kincaid, who set out on a mission to find minerals in the Grand Canyon along the Colorado River. Little did he know that he was about to make one of the greatest discoveries. While making his way through the canyon, Kincaid noticed some strange stains in the sedimentary rock about 2,000 feet above the riverbed. Curiosity getting the better of him, he ventured up the cliffs to investigate. He stumbled upon the mouth of a cave that meandered off into the darkness, complete with steps leading away from the entrance and chisel marks on the walls. He made his way deeper into the cave. He came across a crypt filled with mummies and relics, revealing that he had uncovered something truly remarkable. With a heart full of excitement and wonder, Kincaid rushed off to report his discovery to the Smithsonian Institute, which then launched a thorough exploration into the cavern. Led by Professor S.A. Jordan, the team discovered that the main passageway went almost a mile underground, connecting a massive chamber filled with a network of tunnels. As they explored further, they found an incredible array of rooms filled with artifacts and evidence of a once-inhabited space, as well as an awe-inspiring shrine. Kincaid described it all in great detail, leaving the world captivated by his incredible tale of discovery. Kincaid said of these passages and rooms, "The main passageway is about 12 feet wide, narrowing to 9 feet toward the farther end. About 57 feet from the entrance, the first side passages branch off to the right and left, along which, on both sides, are a number of rooms about the size of ordinary living rooms of today, though some are 30 by 40 feet square. These are entered by oval-shaped doors and are ventilated by round air spaces through the walls and the passages. The walls are about 3 feet 6 inches in thickness. The passages are chiseled or hewn as straight as could be laid out by an engineer. The ceilings of many of the rooms converge to a center. The side passages near the entrance run at a sharp angle from the main hall, but toward the rear, they gradually reach a right-angle direction. Kincaid also describes granaries containing seeds, a large storehouse made from what appeared to be a type of very hard cement of unknown origin, a huge room about 400 by 700 feet that was thought to have probably been the main dining hall, and traces of a gray metal that could not be identified but which resembled platinum, as well as numerous yellow stones strewn about all over the floor. The entire cavern and tunnel system was expansive, estimated to have been able to house upwards of 50,000 people comfortably. Throughout the complex were found to be myriad carvings in the walls, doorways, and on artifacts that appeared to be some form of hieroglyphics. Perhaps one of the strangest and most exciting discoveries was the crypt. Kincaid stumbled upon a hidden chamber housing several mysterious mummies, but upon closer inspection, they proved to be even more bizarre than he ever imagined. The chamber was one of the largest, with slanting walls at a sharp angle and tiers of mummies occupying separate shelves. Each mummy was placed at the head of a small bench, alongside copper cups and broken swords. Some were covered in clay, while all were wrapped in a bark fabric. As Kincaid explored the room further, he noticed that all the mummies were male, leading him to believe that this was a warrior's barracks. It was as if he was witnessing an interstage of civilization before his very eyes. Today, the Smithsonian will deny any knowledge of these discoveries, and they deny having ever had any association with a G.E. Kincaid. If you wanted to go into one of the caves in the Grand Canyon, you probably wouldn't be able to because many of the caves have been blocked off, supposedly for safety and bat protection. Also, if you were too close to a legendary cave, a military helicopter might appear above you, which has happened before. Some investigators claim that the scene from Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the Ark is taken to a giant warehouse, is very close to reality, and the Smithsonian has similar warehouses where real treasures are found. Wonder what else the Smithsonian has hidden there? There is definitely not little of it. Imagine stumbling upon a group of skeletons that are unlike anything you've ever seen before. Well, that's exactly what happened when the Peterson brothers discovered 18 skeletons on Lake Lawn Farm in southwest Wisconsin back in 1912. These skeletons were no ordinary ones. They ranged from 7.6 feet to a whopping 10 feet tall, had skulls much larger than any race that currently inhabits America, and had strange features like double rows of teeth, 6 fingers, and 6 toes. Are these the giants the Bible and many other civilizations have in their story and painted on their walls? According to Genesis 6:4, there were giants in the earth in those days. Hundreds of similar finds have been reported in the following years, ranging from 6 to 15 feet tall. But here's where it gets really interesting. Since the 1950s, there have been almost no reported finds of these giant skeletons, possibly because people were afraid to question the history we know from mainstream archaeologists. Most of the giant skeletons have been found in Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, and other places around the world. Their burial sites are similar to the well-known mounds of the mound builder people. The spectrum of mound builder history spans more than 5,000 years. Has there been a giant cover-up? Why are there no public displays of gigantic Native American skeletons in natural history museums? The skeletons of some mound builders are certainly on display, but they are normal-sized, and according to some sources, the skeletons of giants have been covered up. Specifically, the Smithsonian Institution has been accused of making a deliberate effort to hide the bones and to keep the giant skeletons locked away. From the hundreds of reports of giant skeleton finds, we learn that most were purchased by the Smithsonian Institution or taken away for research and never seen again. Several witnesses say that they put the skeletons in giant warehouses, and because of the large number of skeletons, some were even thrown into the Atlantic Ocean. Anyone can visit the Smithsonian for free, but it costs hundreds of millions to run the museum. So where does the museum get its money? Much of their income comes from donations from various charities. One of the biggest is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which donated tens of millions of dollars to the Smithsonian Institution. Some people believe that these foundations exist to perpetuate the work of their elite founders and further the agenda. Another part of the income comes from our tax dollars. Only a small part of the items are exposed to the public, so why would the US government spend so much money on things that most people will never see? The theory is that at the time of the Smithsonian's founding, most of the continent had not been archaeologically explored. The elite knew that to maintain their version of history, they would need a repository for all artifacts that do not fit their narrative. Could the true purpose of the Smithsonian be to cover up America's real history and replace it with a version they want us to believe? Thanks for watching, and check out our next video about crystal skulls that the Smithsonian says are fake. But are they?